Bro, I'm putting together a bunch of superheroes, kid. You coming down or what? We're gonna make the fucking Justice League.
You were the chosen one.
I got a butler. I got a Duncan in my cave, dude. Your cousin from Gotham. So if we can tighten it up. If we can just tighten it up a bit. It's probably the time difference in Ohio, right?
I know what happened. Yes.
You get them to come by having those funny... I saw the look in your face when I fucking said it. You get them to listen because of those quick clips, and then the podcast then has to be good enough to back it up and keep them listening.
Quick clips, you say, eh?
Do you like Mexican cartels?
You serious?
Put that in your pipe and smoke it, you pricks.
Hey, critics.
7 Caesar salads ago.
Things are going great.
Richard Dreyfuss?
Superman said these men are nihilists, there's nothing to worry about.
Must be fucking nice. Welcome to the Too Critical Podcast. I'm Thomas. Down the end there is Rob, and in the middle is also Rob.
Yes, hello. The real Rob.
The real Rob. You guys can fill in the blanks, but why don't you tell us the tale of how you two know each other?
Well, we met today.
Yeah.
The first time in person.
Yeah.
You reached out to me somewhere like 6 years ago or so,
Okay.
something like that. You were writing an article about what is in a name.
Right.
So you were writing about people with the same name as you.
Mm-hmm.
And I responded. I asked you some questions because I didn't know any family on that side. And we became Facebook friends and kind of left it at that.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions,
I want to ask you a bunch of questions.
and I want you to answer them.
So over the years, we comment on each other's Facebook stuff every now and then. A lot of times I would get tagged in things meant for him. So people would, comment on like, oh, great job on the radio show. And I'm
Great,
like,
super job. I told you that every day. Super job. I listen. First time, long time.
and I don't do a radio show.
Right.
And someone,
Take these off.
people would tag me in things for the books or the poetry that you've done.
Yep.
And same thing. And I'd always just direct them back to you. And I think I always said something to you like, unless this ever takes off, then I'm taking the credit.
Sure.
So that's, from my end, that's what I've seen. You can fill in any
I
blanks.
think
that
I
missed.
remember years ago, it's probably 6 years ago, when Facebook, I was on Facebook and then I just started, I probably searched Rob Azevedo. And
As you do to Google yourself.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And so it's normal.
Yep.
And sure enough, a bunch of them come up around the world. And so I was like, oh, this might be a good story idea to find out, talk to a Rob Azevedo from Brazil. And then I see ones from Nashua. And so that's how it happened until, we were Facebook friends. But I would actually, I would follow you and your Patriots, and I would be like, this guy's pretty funny. You know what I mean? Because
You're the one. He's the one that thinks
no,
that.
I did. I thought you were definitely very funny. And then you always think it's cool because we have a different last name. It's not like our name is like Tom Collins or Eric Ryan.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them. So and so just getting to meet you is very, very cool, and learn a little bit about you guys. And then we learned about that you guys do podcasts. And Tom, I knew through his Indiana Jones persona, and that was another.
Disappointment? Go ahead.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
Well, when I reached, so we reconnected recently because we were looking to talk to a
Tinder.
comedian.
It's Tinder.
Yeah, Grindr. Wrong one. And we were looking to talk to a comedian that actually I was doing some research to get some backstory, and I realized that you had written an article with him. So I was telling Tom about it, and Tom goes, wait a second. And click. This guy and I are friends on Facebook too.
Yeah. Right.
And I was like, what are the chances? So then I reached out to you and I sent you my cell phone number and I said, call me when you can. And we tried to set this up. So yeah, we got the same name, a lot of similar interests.
Yeah.
A lot of people think we look alike. I don't know. I'm looking.
The moment I sat down, I thought I was looking into a mirror.
Let's say a little bit.
The nose is off, but I've broken mine 3 times, so that might
you
be
got
why.
you got a much smaller nose than
It's like looking in a mirror, only not.
me. I got a big heater.
I broke it at the age of 2 for the first time. I might have stunted its growth.
There's a few pictures of you guys on your Facebook pages, and you're in the exact same poses.
Really?
I told him, I'm like, he's your fucking brother.
Weird, man. Yep.
I've been accused of looking like worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't split it that much.
But you have sisters.
I have a half sister and a stepsister. So yeah, I have a half sister.
See, all my family's down in Melrose. The Portuguese side of our family was in Cambridge, East Cambridge.
Tom's Portuguese too. I don't know if you know that.
No, I did
Yeah,
not
this
know.
is a safe space.
Yeah.
We're okay.
And you live in Somerville. My mother was from Somerville.
My
Medford with
father and
trees.
his Portuguese family, that's where they came from. Born
Where-
and raised Somerville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I lived 30 years in Melrose. Grew up, high school down there. My whole family's still down there for the most part. Tons of nieces and nephews, and then I moved up to Manchester about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And
Where'd you go to high school? In
Melrose
Okay.
High.
Do you know the Freeds?
Not off.
You know a guy named Andy Freed?
You know?
Please say yes.
I don't know.
All right.
Is he a real guy?
He's like the only guy from Melrose.
Oh, he's very real.
Oh, okay.
That's not true. The Walsh family.
Yeah, I know. So there's
There's
Walshes.
There's a
yeah.
bunch of Walshes.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Walshes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So, but I was like psyched that you're into this sort of stuff too.
Yeah,
I
and-
knew you were a sports fan.
Well, and it's funny because I've talked to a few people. The podcast is still very new, and a lot of people have said to me, "I'm shocked that you're not doing a sports podcast."
Yeah.
Because I think, for the most part, if you asked any friends or family of mine what's his number one passion, it would be sports. But
That and righting the wrongs that have happened because of equal rights situations.
Yeah.
Mostly, it's a Blood Diamond scenario that he's most aware of. He doesn't say that because he's super humble.
Yeah.
But Blood Diamonds, big no-no for Rob. Go ahead, Rob.
you can't spell humble without Rob.
Nope.
But I've always loved sports. It's been a huge passion of mine. But for me, I always looked at it like that. They've got it covered. There's 10 million people that cover
Yeah.
sports. And not that there's not 10 million people podcasting. I've learned as we've been networking with more people and
Anybody can do it.
anyone can do it and anyone does.
Now.
Yeah.
Now is the case.
But I really thought that I've never met anyone like Tom that I don't want to say anything nice
Isolated.
about him.
Isolate that clip.
Fuck. Anytime I say anything nice, he isolates it. But no, I've never met anyone like him. Genuinely, I'll say nice things now, and he can draw hearts on the screen or do whatever he does here.
Yeah.
I've never met anyone that I wanted to do a podcast with or seriously invest my time with because I don't have a lot of free time. I've got a wife and 3 kids, and unfortunately, I have a real job. This isn't it.
Right.
And I've never really wanted to devote a lot of my free time to doing a hobby. And I just think Tom is the most creative person. I fucking hate saying anything nice about him. I think he's the most creative person I know. I think he's the funniest person I know.
Keep 'em coming.
And when we talked about this,
No training.
I said let's do it, and we talked about doing it for a while, and we couldn't really figure out exactly what we wanted it to be because we didn't want to just be movies or TV. We want to talk to anyone that we find interesting.
Yep.
And if you tell me tomorrow I get a guy that's a hell of a stonemason and he's got great stories, like I'll put him on here.
I agree with you on that stuff. Yeah. Because you
And
can get.
we talked about, I think a lot of people don't take the jump and do something like this because they go, well, it's not a career and I'm not going to make money and it's not. But for me, that's almost the people that do it, even though it's not a career, that proves it's their passion because they're not doing it to be famous.
Right.
They're not doing it to monetize it. They're doing it because deep down they want to create. It's, whether you're a jazz musician on the street corner in New Orleans or someone filming, fan films, you're not paying your mortgage with it, but you just feel that need
Yep.
that I need to be creative, I need to get my juices flowing. And for years, I played guitar in bands, and that was my outlet. And pretty much since the age of 18, so going on half my life now, because I'm turning 36 in a month.
Were you 17 going on 18?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 13 going on 30.
Sorry, Hans, wrong guess.
But for half my life now, I haven't had a creative outlet. And that's what brought me to here. And it's funny because when we started this, you were someone I thought of right away because I didn't know your backstory in terms of if you were a full-time writer. I knew you hosted a radio show. I knew you wrote some poetry books.
Yep.
And an actual book too, correct?
Right.
And had made some short films.
Right.
I mean, I didn't know where you were. All I knew is you like to create, you like to do this type of stuff. So I always thought of you as someone that I'd like to talk to. And I think when we talked on the phone and you explained to me, just like us, you have a day job.
Yep.
And this is all like passion projects for you. It made me want to talk to you more because it really does show that there's some people that can go through life and, they don't have to do this stuff. And I'm not knocking those people. I'm not saying you're passionless. It's just you don't feel that need. But I connect with people like you that you almost need to create. If you're not creating something, there's a hole there.
There's a big hole if I'm not doing something. And this goes back. I'm 50 years old, so in my 20s, I had a completely different. I've always created, even in my 20s when I was making. If I sold an article to a local newspaper, $25 or something like that. But I've always had to do something. Because it gives me a certain amount of self-fulfillment, and that self-fulfillment really it works on everything, me mentally, and I like to feel like I'm useful. It has nothing to do again with the money, and the minute it became a sort of about the money, because you don't make any money in amateur filmmaking or amateur writing and stuff like that,
Unless it's porn.
Unless it's porn,
Right.
But, so like, for example, when I was in my early 30s, I used to cover, I spent the whole summer covering the Red Sox on a beat for this newspaper in Boston. So I'd be up there in the press box every single, like, twice a week. I would split the season with this other guy. So I was up there with all the big writers that you read about, right?
Fantastic.
And I thought, oh, man, this is it, man. I'm going to love this. Hated it. Not only did I hate it, I wasn't very good at it, right? Because there was a deadline. Game would end at 10 o'clock, you know what I mean? And you had to, come up with something to send right in. Not my type of writing, not my type of thing. There were things like, I remember going up to Jason Verrett. There was cool about being in the locker room, you know what I mean? Because I had full access to Bruins locker room, Celtics.
I'm sure people, when they hear those stories, go, what?
Oh, yes, right. But I can remember one time when I really realized this sucks. This is not for me. I remember Jason Veritek was our catcher then, and I remember going up to him, and what was he, about 24 years old kid, you know what I mean? And it was just sort of like he had a get the fuck away from me attitude, right? And ego, it's my ego, and I was just like, I don't give a fuck if you're Jason Veritek or how much you're making. I can't take this. I can't be shit on. You know, and it just doesn't. It's just not. I don't want it. I don't want this that much. But then, so that was, and it's nothing against Tech. Tech seems like a really great guy. I'm just using him as an example. But then when I got to interview like Ricky Henderson when he played for the Red Sox, that was like so cool.
Yeah.
He was outside. I mean, he was.
Did you bring him Coke?
No.
That's your in.
No, he was good. But then that's when I really realized just do the shit that you want to do. You know what I mean? Just do the stuff that you want to do. So since then, I've just, got into filmmaking. First movie we did was with my brother and sister, who was my father, who was an actor before he died. We did a movie called Heavy 7, and it was just fun because then we'd submit it to film festivals, start filming in Memorial Day, finish filming Labor Day, and get it edited, get it into a film festival it was called the Snob Film Festival up in Concord, New Hampshire. Every year they had one. Get it in there, see how it does, and we walked away with a win for a drama section of a short, and then I got the itch, and so I started doing those every single summer, making a film Memorial Day to Labor Day for about 7 years, and it was a lot of fun. But again, no money, lost money.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's an expense.
It's an expense. Still, the shit that I do today, like I put on a lot of shows in Manchester, around New Hampshire, music shows and stuff. But like I almost take a loss every single time. But I get such a rush out of doing it.
Right.
So I'm far past the doing it for money phase.
Well, and that's, I think so many people have these ideas. And we joke, our thing is do it. Go ahead.
Just do it.
Because we don't. Right? I'm guilty of it. I joke all the time that, not joke, I want to do stand-up comedy.
Yes.
I think I could do it. I know, I don't know if I have the chops to do it. I know I have the confidence to do it.
Yep.
I'm odd where I'm incredibly unconfident in myself. I don't like watching or viewing myself. But I also have this ridiculous amount of self-confidence where I think I can do anything.
Right.
Which I think you need to do to be a stand-up
That's just
comedian.
Portuguese rage, I think.
It might be.
I don't think it's confidence.
Yeah.
It's just
I don't
fuck
know.
you.
Yeah, fuck you, I'm doing it.
But I just think too many people
Tell me I can't do it and I'm gonna fucking do it.
But I think too many people could do things that could be fulfilling for them. This podcast, we've been doing it seriously for maybe 2 months, not even.
Yeah, 2 months. Yeah.
This has been like the best therapy I've had.
Sure.
Because I'm just getting to spend so much time with this cocksucker.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, like I get.
Jesus, you just met him.
I know, Jesus, I was gonna say.
I'm referring to you. But no, it's been great for me to get those creative juices flowing. And even when we do an interview and it's bad, I still am happy that I did it.
Yeah.
Because for so many years I wanted to do stuff and just didn't.
Yeah.
So I mean, Tom, he's been creating stuff for years. Short films, long films, miniseries that haven't been out yet. I mean, you've never gone a year in your life without filming and creating and editing, whether it's a commercial, a real estate video for something. I mean, you live creative.
Yeah, but I mean, Rob said it. He feels this urge to do it.
Right.
And I wasn't kidding earlier when we were setting up. I said it's a sickness.
Yeah.
It is. I don't drink to excess. I've never done drugs. I don't gamble. This is my sickness.
Yeah.
Making movies is my sickness. And you talk about there's no money in what you do. The only reason I started the prop rental business and got into doing all the videos and things like that was to make money to make films.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just feeding the beast.
Yeah, you see, we're very much the same, just a couple difference. I still like to do drugs, and I like to overdrink.
Hey!
And
did I say overdrink?
But I hear you. Like, we were talking about this quest to be heard, right? Like, I wrote this book. My first book was all about why. What the fuck's going on in my head, my psychology.
What's the name of that book?
It's called Notes from the Last Breath Farm, A Music Junkie's Quest to be Heard. And so it was sort of like, I don't know, it's just a book about myself, why I need to be heard, why I need to do something on the radio, why I need to write articles, why I need to make films. What is this narcissistic need? And it all came down, I kind of traced it back. It all comes back to the mother, right? My mother had this phrase, which is not a very flattering phrase, but she always say to me growing up, "Who do you think you are?" Right? And I'd be like, the only answer, Rob, was nobody, Ma. Nobody. And so I'd say, nobody, Ma. And she'd be like, you're damn right, you're nobody. And so,
Wait, was she the Irish or the Portuguese?
she was the Irish. I mean, she was like...
It's adding up.
Right, it's adding up. So she would say to me, and it used to drive me fucking crazy, you know what I mean? Because I didn't want to be really somebody. I just had to be something besides a nobody. Yeah. And so I wanted...
Let me finish it for you.
Sure.
You wanted to be the best Rob Azevedo that ever lived, essentially.
Success.
Until I find the other Rob Azevedo.
I defer to you.
I defer to you. But that's what it is. I don't know if, a compulsion and illness, but I literally feel mentally, physically, if I'm not doing something, either writing poetry, creative, doing something like this, I don't feel myself.
Yeah.
The problem for me, for years, I didn't have the creative outlet. So what would happen is, if we didn't have plans on a weekend, my wife would say all the time, like, I'll just start a new construction project. I'll renovate a bathroom.
Yeah.
I know it sounds stupid
It
because
doesn't, and I can't believe you said it, because, go ahead.
No, they're not the same thing, but they are.
Yep.
I can't sit still. I joke all the time, I'll
Yeah.
never be able to retire. Even when I retire, I'm a big golfer. I'll go cut lawns at a
Big
golf
golfer.
course. You don't even have to pay me. I'll just golf for free. That's fine.
Rob, I want to be a
Rob's a big
ranger
hitter.
when I retire. I just want to be
An
a
Army Ranger? That's an.
a ranger at a golf course.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
great, right?
You want to smoke cigars and tell the guys, hey,
That's it.
can you pick it up? The ladies are catching up.
And that's the extent of what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, but I have that itch where I can't sit still. I mean, I'll have times where I'm sick. I generally will go to work no matter what. But then there's those times where you're so sick you have to stay home.
Sure.
By noon, I'm painting a wall. I'm organizing my shed. I'm going to the dump. I'm cleaning something up. And it drives my wife crazy. She says all the time, I'm the worst at relaxing of anyone she's ever met.
Does that have anything to do with your youth? Was your mom always like, be doing something, get off your ass, or anything like that?
We were always, not really. I mean, my mother did a lot of things, but I was very, I definitely took care of myself as a kid in terms of entertainment. It was a different life back then. I wish my kids had the life we had. I'd get up in the morning, I'd grab a friend, I'd be gone for the day. Or
That's it, right?
I'd get on my bike, and I'm riding across town. We're getting 3 people. We're going down to the train tracks. We're going to the pond.
You're going to play like Dungeon and Dragon type game. You're letting these monsters into the neighborhood.
Next thing you know, Natalie Dyer shows up.
I get it. Yeah.
But it's the stuff that I genuinely wish my kids got to do. But back then, I guess, if I'm playing a video game, even to this day, or if I'm entertained watching something, I'm good. It's when those idle hands get going, when there's not a Bruins game on, and there's not a movie I want to watch, and I'm not in the middle of something, I don't do well with spare time. I think my family's done a few vacations now, and it took a while the first few vacations, my wife would say, like, you're itchy after like 2
Are
days.
they laying on the
Right.
beach
Oh, yeah.
vacations,
Yeah.
or are you like?
No,
are they
yeah.
excursions every day?
No, yeah. So like laying on the beach vacations, which are some of my favorite types now, but
Yeah.
I had to learn to enjoy that.
Oh, yeah.
I was more of an excursion person. I was always, we need to go out on a boat today. We need to go on a hike today. We need, because I wasn't good at sitting down.
Want to see the world's biggest ball of yarn, kids?
Yeah, exactly. Big Ben, Parliament. I
Yeah.
can't get left. But it was a learned thing. And I do think part of that, it translates to the creative people, I think, always need to be doing something. Whether it's making a movie, making a film, writing a poem. Right? So, I know this sounds stupid. Like sometimes I even feel like being creative, it can be as stupid as commenting on things on Twitter. Like
Sure.
it's just being involved. I don't do well when I'm not doing something. I do better. And it's funny because you do the Granite State of Mind, your radio show.
Yep.
Music was a passion of mine for years. I've played guitar. I started with bass when I was around 12. Got into guitar, played in bands. I played bass and guitar, or bass and guitar in bands. I used to want to do that, but it was always one of those, I never found the right combination of friends that were musicians. It seems like it was always the singer. And it always is, right?
Yeah.
You're like, you got the good drummer, you got the good bassist, you got two guitarists.
Right.
Nobody can sing well.
Right.
So that was always our downfall. And then when that went away, you know, I got to that point in life where now I'm into my 20s. I started getting real jobs, making money. And for me, making money was always just a means to provide for a family. But I never felt like proud of what I was doing, because to me, like, if you're not creating some form of art or entertainment,
Your life is worthless. Yeah.
exactly. Yep. No,
Feel
I
that
mean,
way, Tom?
Yep.
I'm more proud of the dumb stuff I do with you than when I actually make successful business deals.
Yeah.
Isolate that.
But so you still, how long have you been doing your radio show?
9 years. I've been doing Granite State of Mind 9 years. For many, up until very, very recently, it was out of Concord on Thursday nights, and then on Friday nights I do it at 95.3 WMNH in Manchester at 6 o'clock, and it's been the same thing. It's all local, statewide musicians. I did a show, pretty straightforward. Actually, you want to talk, how this stuff gets going. I want to say about 9 years ago. It was down my basement where everything goes after dinner. Go down there, figure something out. I was probably a little stoned, and I would be, I was, looking up something, and I was like, I think I want to try to be in radio. You know what I mean? So
As one does.
literally, it's like this. So I'm like, okay.
Wait,
So
literally inside the radio?
no, I
What
want
was
to be inside
happening
the
down
radio.
How
So I
stoned?
depends upon where I got the weed from. So, it's just sent an email out to this small radio station in Concord and saying, hey, listen, I think I have a couple, what do I know? I've never had any training in radio, nothing. So they get back to me and they say, come in, we'll meet with you. And I threw in my concept. I'd been in sales, so I think that helped. I'd been in sales a lot, so I was very brief. And they said, we'll give you a 3-week tryout. And so 3 weeks is 9 years later.
Wow.
And for the first year, you're kind of working things out. I had a co-host. He left. And it was sort of like a talk interview type deal. And I was like kind of happy with it, but I could have bailed too. But I'm like, we had a music band in there one night, and I'm like, that's it, man. The whole show is going to be less of me. We're going old school radio, live in studio performances, and it just took off after that. Hundreds of bands I've had, hundreds upon hundreds, and it's every single week. So what does that do? I mean, number one, I love it. It provides me an outlet to work.
It's therapy too.
It's therapy. Got to learn about the radio, and I've made a million friends seemingly through musicians and stuff, and that took off. The radio show kind of branched off into, let's start doing some tribute shows. And so we would do tribute shows, a bunch of bands to, like, I don't know, the Beatles, the Stones. We get a bunch of people together, so it's been really good, man, and I've really loved it.
I think more people would do themselves a service if they followed some of the stuff that they want to do. And it doesn't have to be that you've got to spend half of your money and put yourself in debt to do it. You can be creative any way you want. Write a fucking blog. Do whatever you... And, everyone has an opinion on something.
Oh, yeah.
Figure out how to voice yours.
Yeah.
And,
Figure it out.
this stupid video we make, 2 people could watch this. whether 2 people or 10,000 watch
That's
this,
it.
it doesn't matter. I
That's it.
came here today. I got to bullshit with you two.
Yep.
And you know what? I leave feeling better.
Oh, yeah.
It just happens. And it was not my intent when we started this. I didn't realize it would have that effect on me. But it does. And I think more people, I'm not saying you have to go out and get a crew and film, a movie. But
Yeah.
if that's what you want to do, stop talking about doing it and fucking do it.
That's all it is. I mean, and Tom,
You started this with an email. You called the radio station and said, I want to have a radio show. And you have one.
Right.
I used to say to him when we go to get guests on, I'd say, they're not going to come on. He goes, just reach out to them. They will. And I'm
Right.
seeing it. I'm reaching out to people, and right away they're going, yeah, I'll come on. I think we have too much doubt in ourselves when it comes to this stuff where, I'm not going to be able to email, Robert De Niro.
Right.
He's not coming on next
Right.
week. We don't think.
Not yet.
He won't respond to my emails. But I think too often we even look at the attainable things that we could do, and we go, we can't. I just can't do that. And it's like, you know what? Why don't you try before you doubt it?
Yeah, and you get, and I wonder if either one of you, or Tom, because you've been in the movie business a long time, somebody will see something that you've done, right? Somebody who's just has always dreamed about being involved in the movies, but hasn't really done anything. And I've done that when I started making films and stuff like that. Then friends who think, that they have a great idea, they'll be like, we should write a movie together. And I'll be like, well, I know what you're saying. You should write your own movie because that's how it's going to really, and I get it, but it's like you got to get off the horse. You got to get off the pads. Like, you want to write a movie, I can tell. You got an idea, fucking write it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but I don't know how to get a camera crew. Dude, you got to write the thing
Neither
first.
did I.
Right. Right. You just guerrilla. That's right. I posted, when I made films, I would post on Craigslist.
Yep.
I would write a movie during the winter,
Yep.
right? A little 10, 20-minute thingy. And then I would start looking for a director,
Yep.
and I would post it on Craigslist. I'd be like, looking for a director. And you'd be like, nobody's going to respond to this, Rob. Fuck, you know what I mean? You get them, and I find a kid, and hey, who am I to judge how they work a camera? I don't know how to work a camera, but as long as you can shoot it and edit it, and that's how it worked. So you just do it.
Yeah,
So we talked about like people that have like normal jobs and then have this almost like this untapped creativity inside them.
Yeah.
So I grew up with plenty of people that I know that if tomorrow, someone said to me, you got a $250 million budget to go shoot a 10-episode TV show.
Yeah.
I know exactly who I would call from my childhood to say, shut down your normal life and come and hang out with us.
Right.
And because they took that road. They took the normal road. Like they went, normal jobs and 401k and all that stuff, like the safe route, which I totally understand.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. But even people that we've worked with a lot in the past that no one has ever stepped in front of a camera before, ever.
Right.
So there's this group of people we work with every year from this company called Virtual, and the CEO is a madman, okay? His company is...
he's from your hometown.
Yeah, Melrose. That's
Okay.
we asked about that. So their company is ranked in the top 10 best places to work almost, I think, for like the past 10, 12 years. I
Okay.
could be wrong. And he runs the place like Google in the sense that a bus will show up in front of the building on a Friday, and he'll take everybody to play mini golf and get ice cream.
Oh, fun.
And he does all these crazy things.
But
and
the best thing he does.
In
Yeah.
Melrose,
No.
the building?
he lives in Melrose.
Oh,
The
okay.
company's in Wakefield.
Oh, okay.
And so every year he makes out-of-office messages to let all of his clients know that he's going on vacation.
Okay.
Now, he could just send out a normal email like most people do and say,
Sure.
talk to my admin if
Sure.
you have any. So every year he makes this out-of-office message, these videos, and I think I've made 7 for him, I think. And every year they get bigger
Yeah,
and bigger
and more layered,
bigger.
yeah.
So we've done an Indiana Jones themed one, which included him swimming out to a seaplane, crawling up onto the seaplane, just like Indiana Jones,
Uh-huh.
getting in and flying away. We've done a Batman parody. We turned this whole warehouse into it was like a factory from like one of the Batman.
La La Land.
Yeah, we did a musical, a whole musical with like 20 choreographed
Really?
dancers and
Cool.
Game of Thrones.
we did Game of Thrones that was 27 minutes long.
Back to the Future.
We did Back to the Future. We
How
had
old's this guy?
I think Andy is maybe 50.
Really?
I think.
Last
Yeah.
name again?
Freed.
Andy Freed.
Yeah.
You gotta, Andy is OOO, out of office. Andy is OOO.com. All of this is up there.
Yeah.
All right.
And then
I appeared in the Game of Thrones, and that was my first.
yeah, he's in the
appearance.
Game of Thrones. And so anyway, every year he puts them out, and they get more and more people to watch them.
Yeah.
And he sends them out to people that he graduated from Harvard with, that guys that went on to write for National Lampoon, Conan O'Brien, Chris Moore, the guy that produced all Ben Affleck and Matt Damon's movies, the guy from Miramax.
Okay.
And we see all the comments and the feedback that comes back from this stuff.
Yeah, these out of office messages are nuts.
They are.
They're crazy.
Did you have a who was your character? Were you the mountain?
No, I was Bran.
Which one was he?
Did you watch Game of
Oh
Thrones?
yeah, he was the kid
I
in the
end up being
wheelchair.
king.
Oh, okay.
It's me. I end up so the kid in the wheelchair that got pushed out the
Yeah.
window.
Yeah.
So the whole thing, we take
Bran the cross-eyed
not
raven.
we. Yeah, I was Bran the cross-eyed raven.
Right.
Yeah, instead of the three-eyed raven. So they take a concept and then they figure out how can we turn this into Andy needs to get to vacation. And this is a very successful company, a very successful guy, and he has that creativeness where him and Tom met. They talked about it, and he was like, "I got an idea."
Yeah.
And I mean, he gets these rave reviews from people that are like, "This is the most original, funny thing," and he's doing this in the most professional of settings. But like, if you send him an email, you're gonna get a response back that says Andy's out of the office, and it has a link, and you click on it, and it takes you to a website that's gonna play a video that's Back to the Future, and it's an hour, it's 20 minutes, half hour long, and this is the stuff that Tom does.
So, and he'll send me the messages he gets from like a friend of his who's like the head of HBO or like a VP at HBO, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like people that are in the industry, and the messages you wouldn't even believe. You read them, you're like, Jesus Christ, like I can't believe we're getting this feedback, off the. But we set the bar higher and higher every single year,
Yeah.
which is dangerous. And
Have you got any gigs off any of these? Like,
Oh, tons.
Yeah.
Oh, I do so much work for his company now.
Yeah.
It's
Isn't
fantastic.
that great?
And
that's
Shields
and-
MRI now too.
Yeah, yeah.
And isn't that a lesson, too, it's like, when you start off small, appreciate the small stuff because it's just steps by step, right?
Yes.
I mean, when you get one gig off a film, right?
Yeah,
And then
yep.
another phone call comes. That's how it works. I think a lot of times people are like, man, if I'm not in Hall, like I see a lot of musicians leave New Hampshire and say, I'm going down to Nashville, I'm going out to LA.
LA.
And, and when they go, I'm always like, okay, there's only like 35 people paid in that whole town,
Yeah.
like really paid. But you got a good thing going here, but I understand you got to chase a dream. You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Right.
most of them come back.
And any plans to do more?
No, because Tom knows.
You don't know a guy.
No, I don't, because I found it exhausting. Because it's a lot of work, dude. It's a lot of work, and I don't even shoot. But it was organizing. It was, letting the guy editing the show knows, like, okay, we have to get this done by this date, and getting the actors together. Everything. There's two, and it's just after 7 years of doing it every summer for 7 years. And again, I'm not a professional at any of this. You're a pro, right?
I scratched that itch.
I scratched the itch. Now we shot a couple music videos here and there, but that itch is scratched for a while.
Yeah.
And it's just, I get into these things where I didn't write poetry until this last April for 30 years, and then
And you published.
and then I really lucked out because publishing is a bitch. It's tough, man. It's tough.
How did you get a publisher?
Well, my first book, I go different. I don't send manuscripts, and I don't send manuscripts to people. My first book, I just contacted the publisher, convinced the guy to go get a cup of coffee with me, and I brought the sucker with me, and this is where I utilized my sales skills.
Yeah.
And by the time, I wouldn't let him leave until I'd be like, so, do you want me to write this book for you? And he's like, go ahead, write the book for me.
Now,
And-
was this a guy in New Hampshire?
Yeah, out of Concord, long-time publisher, Plaid Swede Press, a guy named George Gears. He was an older guy. So that's all I needed was to say,
Right.
I didn't even write the book before. He said, okay, go write it, I'll publish it.
Wow.
You could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves.
It's true.
Right, and so that was done there. And then with the book of poetry, I just sent out a couple poems. I'm like, I don't even know how these sound. You know what I mean? I don't know if they're good. And over the summer, then I wrote a bunch of them, about 50 to 80 of them, and I sent like 4 or 5 to this, what I thought was just a website to say, hey, maybe you'll...
What do you think?
Yeah, will you put them up on your website? Guy got back, he's like, send me 50 more. I really like these.
Jesus.
Sent him 50, and then a few weeks later, he gets back. He goes, so I'm thinking January. I'm like, what do you think in January? He's like, your book will come out in January. I'm like, well, I just hit the mother load because that never happens. This was out of Kansas City, Missouri, this publishing house there. So, yeah, and the book's called Turning on a Wasp.
I think with poetry and art, those are two things where it's not necessarily my thing. I have, respect for people that do it. I think poetry and art are two of those things that it's so subjective where you could show me something and tell me it's great or terrible, and
Right.
That's most art.
But I think maybe more than anything, like you could show me a painting and say this is a masterpiece.
They've done it. They've done hidden camera studies
on Goga
it.
Blogian. Yeah.
Right.
They've done it. They've put one person in front of something that someone just painted 15 minutes before the show started, and they convince everybody that comes over there.
I remember
it's a
in
work of art.
college, I had to read a book of poetry. I remember that. Or there was a
Where the Sidewalk Ends, I'm pretty sure was the title.
well,
Everybody poops.
But there was
Oh my God!
but I remember, I would say out of 200 poems I had to read. There was only 2 or 3 that I liked, but I remember like the
One
ones
fish,
that,
2 fish.
Right?
Hey,
Shit, sorry.
no,
I didn't mean to
no.
offend anybody. I'm sorry.
Cut
I didn't mean
that.
to offend anybody. Sorry, never
Yeah,
mind.
Dr. Seuss is done.
Right.
Little Miss Muffet.
Right.
Little Miss Muffet.
We're gonna finish this episode with
You two
nothing.
are brothers.
Right,
Holy
right.
shit, you said oh at the same exact time.
Yeah.
It's fucking exquisite. Cash your charge.
Along came a spider. He crept up beside her and said, "Hey, what's in the bowl, bitch?" Oh!
Yeah. Right?
Oh, fantastic. But seriously, I think that it's so refreshing to hear from someone like you that does what they want to do for the reason of just doing it, not for anything else. And I think more people could be served to do that.
Well, and lastly, just last about the money thing for me, it became.
You'll take it.
Sure, I'll take it.
Kruger
But for
Rand.
example,
Kruger Rand's only.
For example, I had this the radio show up in Concord, Granite State of Mind. So it's been going on for years, and I used to have sponsors, right? And not only radio stations now, they don't want you to host the show, produce the show, and
Sell
book the band.
ads.
Now they want you to sell flipping ads, right?
Yeah, when you get off the air, you got to go make phone calls.
I'm like, and I'm like, that's fucked. And so I liked getting when I did it one time, and then the advertisers, was like, okay, I've done my stretch, and they were like, well, we need you to go get some more ads and this, and I'm like, you know what? No. I'm like, you can either keep the show. I said, I'm not gonna go. I sell all week long. I have no interest in the $200 I'm gonna make a month off this.
Right.
And so I don't care.
From the balls in Manchester.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm like, no, I'm not.
How much are the ads? I'll run one for my company. You run one for yours.
Chris's Clippers. We got a bunch of guys.
Right.
Jump right in.
But I don't want to chase checks. I'm like, you want me to go like knock on doors when I'm not doing this and
Right.
pick up checks here? And I did, and I hated walking into this bar that was one of my sponsors. I'd be like, hey, Kirk. He'd be like, oh, fuck, you again?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah, I got to get them.
Now, did you feel compelled to go to all those places, like, and be
After
a
the
customer?
fact. Yeah.
Right?
Did you say that again? But
Like, you're like, oh, shit. Oh, it's Saturday. I got to at least have one drink to make sure Kirk
I gotta go see
knows-
Kirk for a beer.
Yeah, to have a beer. Like, do you
yeah,
have a lot of that shit?
Yeah, to be very no. You know what? To be honest, no, I wouldn't. I'd try to go like first thing in the morning when they were just opening up
Well,
and get the.
fuck you, Kurt.
Yeah, Kirk. Area 23 in Concord.
Your
It's a fantastic
$25
bar.
gift card.
No, Kirk was great, but I didn't want to do it. I had no interest
Kirk
about
was
the
the
money.
best.
But that's it. So I don't do anything for the money. And actually, it seems like an added layer of stress when there's money involved. It's like I can't do. I don't know.
Money ruins a lot of things. Friendships, it does.
Yeah, it's true. No, and it's interesting. So I thought that it would solve a lot of problems.
Right.
So, I had the same group of guys that I would make films with for 20 years or so. And then I was the one that was getting all the actual paying jobs.
Yeah.
So I would then pay them to come on and crew all my gigs and things like that. And I thought, well, geez, you can't make anyone volunteer harder.
Right.
Right? You can't yell at a volunteer or I never raised my voice ever in all of the things that I did. I never lost my cool.
Yeah.
Never to anyone. I'm totally off track.
You never raised your voice. Yeah, you can't
so
volunteer harder.
So I would then get paying gigs from my buddies, and I was like, oh well, they're definitely gonna not do the things that they normally do on
A paying gig.
right?
but
Because they
they
get
did.
paid.
Yeah.
So these guys are gonna be super motivated, and then you go to the gig and they're like, what? They're doing the exact same shit.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck am I supposed to, like, we're paying you guys, we gotta go faster, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got like a real schedule today. So you're right, I mean, money always fucks stuff up anyway.
I guess, Jess, I mean, it's individually, you know what I mean? I don't know. Some people are driven, businesses, maybe they see the arts as a business, you know what I mean? There are people who do that and they do very well. Maybe
Yeah.
they're not as invested in the art but they're invested in the business plan.
Well, that's the problem too. So I think anybody that makes movies, it's also, you have to get a perfect combination of the, so you have the technical guys, you have the creative guys, and you have like the
Money
business
guy.
mind guys,
Yeah.
right? And you get all those together. I have worked with a really good blend of all those guys for a very long time.
Right.
But I've known a lot of guys that were just straight up creative, and then we were getting to that level. We were doing bigger, better things, and I was always working. I was always getting more cameras, more equipment, more props, and getting location insurance so we could actually go and shoot in real places and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And then I would like drag them along. It was like pulling teeth, and they bucked the whole legitimacy of making bigger things because they were so creative, and it eventually made us go our separate ways.
Right.
Because they were happy to make their movies in their backyard,
Right.
and never grow, which is fine. That's
Right.
what they wanted to do, but they were never able to get past that creative part, and then try to at least branch it or make it about making money or something.
Now, with this podcast, do you guys, you get the creative juices, like the feel of what you want out of Rob?
I think we are scratching the surface.
Uh-huh.
This is third time we've recorded in person.
Yeah.
First time with a guest that wasn't like a friend of ours.
Right.
We've recorded with guests a few times now. I think it's one of those, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I know where we want to get. I know what we want the podcast to be. I know it's not there yet.
Sure.
For me, and Tom, we bullshit, and he'll say something smart ass in a second. 'cause
Here we
it's
go.
just what he does. We bullshit a lot,
Cocked
but
and locked.
he has been really good in terms of dealing with me, because this is new for me. He's used to being in front of a camera. He's used to talking with people. I'm not.
Right.
And I was really unhappy with myself for the first few episodes, just how it wasn't what I wanted. Now, it's funny, the last time we recorded, when we were done, I wasn't necessarily thrilled with the interview, but I said, like, that's the best I've done.
Yeah.
I acted, talked, and sounded how I want to sound.
Sure.
We're all going to have moments that we mess up. I'm not perfect. This isn't my career. When we leave here, we go back to our families and real lives.
Yep.
But for me, I'm trying to get better every time we do this.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's a career or not.
Right.
I watch our videos, I listen to our podcasts, and I make notes of like, okay, say this less, do this more.
Yeah.
I talk too much.
Right.
It's a huge problem for me. It's an involuntary thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because I think I'm important and people want to hear me. It's just I get an opinion and I go, everyone shut up, it's my turn.
Right.
But I actually think he's the funnier of the two of us by far. I need to do a better job of letting him go and give him that leash to you carry us.
And it's good. I think it's great that you recognize that. I still do after all, 9 years of being on the air. Like I'll listen to it and I'll be listening to an interview. I'll be like, shut the fuck up, Rob. Holy shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You sounded like that other Rob. You're talking over him. So, no, but I do,
No, exactly.
and I hate it. And then, but I use that. You have to. And then the next week when I'm interviewing a guest, I'll have that in the back of my head, and I'll be like, oh, that was good. You shut the fuck up for 2 seconds. You know what I mean? Actually letting somebody finish the sentence.
Right.
I mean, you don't always have to try to be perfect, but if you're not trying to be better at what you're doing, I don't care if it's being a better friend, being a better husband,
Being a better lover.
Exactly.
A better dancer.
Lord
Right.
knows you could be a better
a better
lover, Tom.
trombonist. I mean, Lord
Right.
knows.
Yeah.
Hopefully Amazon has the books
Yeah.
on my front porch.
Sure they do.
It's a how-to.
Check the ring camera. It might be there.
The Idiot's Guide to the Clitoris, I think.
But I think
Somewhere. They keep mentioning a hood. Where's this hood?
Why is Cobra Commander involved?
Right. Fucking latch.
But I really do.
Is it a suitcase?
Right.
I think what you've done, it really can be an example for people that you don't have to go all in to also do what you want to do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, sell the farm and invest, you want to be a singer. I'm not saying leave your job to do it.
You can be creative. Just keep the fucking
You got to keep the lights on. That's the thing too. Like if somebody will say to me, "No, I think I'm going to go full time into radio, into music." And in my head, you don't want to be a dream killer, but being an older guy now, right, and having lived through many, many broke years, young family, being down, I'll be like, my art suffered when I was broke because I could focus, like knowing that I would have a full-time job to go to on Monday and knowing that I don't care. That's what's going, the money, that's what's going to give me peace of mind to go and do my art. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Because your mind can get so jumbled and you're so caught up in worries and bills and stuff like that, it's going to affect your art.
Yeah.
So it's a yin and yang.
Well, anything that you do in the future, you let us know. You can come back on here and
thank
pump
you.
it. For the 3 people that listen, we'll tell them
Yeah.
all about it. And seriously, it's something that people should listen and seriously consider. What they can do for an outlet. And that's the biggest thing that this has been for me. And it sounds like your radio show is for you.
Yeah.
And I have a tremendous amount of respect for actually reaching out and doing those things.
Yeah, thank you.
So
If you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
That's what they say.
Say hi to your mom for me.
That's what they say.
just smoke some weed and email a radio
That's
station.
it, man. Just
Climb,
get some good.
miniaturize yourself and climb into the radio.
Yes, that's it.
I just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in.
Another great movie.
Oh, one of my
Great
favorites.
movie.
Maybe my favorite.
Take it away, Eli.
Obviously, you're not a golfer.
This dude, just to let you know.
I know.
Dude, right?
Far out, man.
Far out.
Come by. I really want your notes.
Right. I really want you to know. Oh, and then he turns
Do you
away.
think a woman lives here? The toilet seat was up. Oh,
Yeah,
Christ.
that's a
But
good
seriously,
one.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Honestly,
thank you for having me.
This is
Good luck with the
Thanks, Rob.
podcast. And I hope you get in touch with my brother too, Mike, because
I think Tom and Mike could really. I'd love to talk to him. I think Tom and Mike will hit it off.
and my and I'm not trying to jam every Azevedo in here. But
Who else we got? No,
My
bring 'em
kids
all.
are available.
Right. My children. No, my sister Laura. She's very. She runs this great thing called Filmmakers Collaborative
let's
down in
get her in,
Melrose.
sure.
That's all about all up and comer filmmakers and working with them as a support group.
We'd love to talk to them.
Brother does a podcast.
Maybe we do another Azevedo episode. We get the 2 of them and him
It's
in
all
here.
Azevedo.
We'll just have all Azevedos here. We've got like 37 nephews in Melrose. And,
We got the room.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
can fit 5 people at
We'll
this
set
table.
up. We'll set up some trays. We'll make some linguiça. It'll be fucking great.
Oh yeah.
Charisse?
A fist fight is
Charisse.
guaranteed to break out, but
Right.
it'll be okay. In the end, we'll all feel better.
Right.
You guys are learning and breathing and healing. It's a great experience.
Right. It's been
Oh,
good
my
though, man.
goodness.
But thank you so much for
No,
having
thanks
me.
for coming on. It's
Yeah.
been awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
All
We
right.
appreciate
Thank
it.
This episode of the Too Critical Podcast is brought to you by Chris's Clippers. Chris's Clippers, when you absolutely positively have to have someone cut your hedges who has a 4-year college degree. Chris's Clippers. Call us today. If not, go fuck yourself. Well, thank you everybody for watching and listening to the Too Critical Podcast. You can find us everywhere where your local podcasts are sold. And you can also check us out on our YouTube channel. The Too Critical channel on YouTube or something. There are links somewhere, so go find them. Until then, until we meet again, I'm Thomas and that's Rob, and this has been the Too Critical Podcast. Ciao.
Yeah, get out of my store already, huh? Who needs you in here? Eat a carrot, you fat tub of shit!
I'm never coming back here
Yeah, well, don't
again.
do me no favors, you fat bastard!
Ra-da-da-da-doo.